Oh, sick intro. Fuck. Welcome to. Fuck. God, I don't know. Come on, Chris, save me.
I got you.
Right.
I got you, fam. So,
welcome to Two Guns, No Ammo.
so I stumbled upon one of the greatest headlines I've ever seen today.
What is it?
This headline is Elon Musk drops surprise rap single about Harambe.
No.
What?
Not real.
That is
Okay.
fake internet.
Take a moment, digest that, let it sink in.
I'm just gonna say this: Harambe had it coming. Okay. Harambe was asking for it. That little boy fell in there, and Harambe's like, "I'm just gonna grip this kid up, and maybe I'll kill him. I don't know." And everybody's like, "We're not playing games with you today." Bap, bap, bap. Brat.
Rap, rap, rap.
Those were the noises that they.
Well, welcome to another installment of Cutting Edge News Source.
Wait. We forgot the part where it's Elon Musk drops a rap single.
Are you gonna play it? Are you gonna give us a teaser?
Well, I have some lyrics.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you clearly you did not let these words sink in.
Yeah,
Chris, please read Elon Musk's wonderful poetry.
R.I.P. Harambe, sipping on some Bombay. We on our way to heaven. Amen. Amen. Musk sings on the auto-tuned track. That is the article, not the lyrics.
Oh my god, I wish it was though. Just him narrating what he's doing.
Oh my god.
That would be meta?
R.I.P. Harambe, smoking on some strong hay in the gorilla zoo, and we thinking about you.
What?
Oh my god! That guy's supposed to be a fucking genius.
This isn't
That's what we
real.
Ate the onion.
Where did you find this?
The Hill.
The Hill?
One Tree Hill?
No.
Okay.
The ones that have eyes.
Well, if you're still here, we're going to try and do a show, but no promises after that.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to another installment of Two Guns, No Ammunition. I'm Billy Two Guns. We are No Ammunition. We're going to do a quick mic identifier. Something about me today. I made my return debut to rugby yesterday, and it went pretty well. I guess that's all you need to know about me. Anybody next could do whatever.
What?
Are you drunk?
What?
Everybody knows.
Nope, my-
Words.
That's Bill and he's hammered. Chris.
Chris.
Chris?
Now they're confused. I'm Chris.
No, I'm Chris.
Damn it.
I'm pretty sure I'm Chris.
You are fired from Chris. Who are you really?
I'm Chris.
I could be Genevieve.
Okay. Lisa's turn.
I'm like cut off.
I'm Lisa. And
Frank?
I'm Frank. I finally landed some Kerbals on Duna
Oh, thank God.
with minimal effort.
All right.
Relevant.
Minimal help from the internet.
And Jake,
That's a load off my mind.
Yeah.
please save us.
I'm Jake. And I have been playing Devil May Cry 5.
Awesome. I'm hoping that that's going to be the meat of what we're getting into here. But I spent a tight $250 on a game. You guys probably have seen it. Polybridge.
Mm-hmm. I have it. I haven't played
oh,
it.
you got Polybridge?
Yeah, I got Polybridge for $250, and it was interesting because the sale went till the 28th, and it was the 28th. We were sitting there, and I had bought it that morning from work. I was just like, oh, let me just look. And Chris is like, I'm gonna go buy it, and it wasn't on sale anymore. So it must be like Greenwich Mean Time or something. Anyway,
I was really upset about that.
worth every penny of $250. Now, this game, because it's so cheap, I've been treating it really casually. The nice thing about it is it has very casual demands on your system. So it'll run on like pretty much anything. And I've been like watching The Office on the one screen. Only my second watch through The Office. I didn't realize that there were 9 seasons. I watched the end of like the 7th, and I thought that was the end of the series.
Yep.
I didn't realize that the show got knocked up at a party and had an abortion, and they took that abortion, they made it into 2 seasons.
They did.
It was very big shift.
And then, but anyway, so while I'm watching that, I can play this game, sort of thinking about it, and it's interesting because there's like a manual to read, but it's hard to read a bunch of text on a computer screen. I don't know if your guys' eyes are great for that, but it tires mine out. That's why every website I go to, I print out everything on the page and I read it on the paper, and then I refresh the page and print it out again. But this, I'm sort of passively learning how bridges work, right? So I'm realizing if I use a lot of triangles and I make them bigger, my bridges are stronger. And basically the idea is they show you like you need a card to get from one position to the other, and they have red squares where you can anchor your bridge, and they'll give you a budget. And you can use things like wood, rope, steel cable, steel beams, and road itself.
Do you have jet fuel to melt the steel
I was
beams?
gonna make that call.
No, because they can't do that.
Touche.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining, because in the game it looks like you have like a shadow cut out of like a car in position A and has to get to B or whatever it is. But I'm just imagining like airplanes off the sky now.
But they do have airplanes in the game. At some point you have to, so like what'll happen is, you know, you have to get across this canyon, and then you have to get across a river, and it shows you an order of operations. It's like first your car drives across, then hydraulics will actuate. So you can put hydraulics on your bridge, and then a ship will come, and then the hydraulics actuate again, and then your second car has to drive across.
And you
So like a
make your
drawbridge.
bridges dance to cholo music.
I have not figured out how to do that yet.
That is the real use of hydraulics.
I'm sure you could, because there's a lot of community generated maps. So there's tons and tons and tons and tons of free content on here. But one of the really cool things is you get through it, like if you beat a level or whatever, and you can go up to a certain percentage over budget, and then it says you run out of money. But you can move on beyond it if you don't get under the budget, but like I think it doesn't count as like actually cleared. You can go back and get it later, but it's like it's yellow instead of blue or green on the little overworld. And it's, you know, there's different themes, and like in the overworld map there's 20 on each like level, and each level there's like 5 levels. But right now I'm trying to build a bridge for less than $12,000 that gets 2 cars across it. One goes to the bottom. The other one needs to be lifted like 10 feet vertically and then drive on top of another platform, which I can get it to do. I can't, however, get it to do it for under 12,000. I can't get below like 14,800. And what's neat is when you beat it, they show you the amount of money that you spent, and then they rank you globally. So they show, so like I know I'm doing relatively well if I'm in like the top 150,000, because when I just do whatever and complete it, it's like 450,000 people have done what I've done, or for that or cheaper. And then I look at the number ones, and they'll beat levels for like $750 of budget. And I'm like, I don't know how you did that. Like your computer must have been struck by a solar flare. And it messed up its calculation and said you win.
It'd be so cool if they showed you what
Every
the top-
time.
like what they made.
I bet they do. And right now I'm sort of at that spot where it's like, I haven't read, they have this whole in-depth manual. I haven't read that yet because it hurts my eyeballs. But I just ordered a Kindle Fire, and that's supposed to be good for reading, right? It was on sale, 10-inch Kindle Fire for $100. Not bad. I bought one for Genevieve too for her birthday.
Yep. Oh.
So I can read things on there, and hopefully it won't hurt my eyeballs. And then if I still can't figure it out, I'll go watch YouTube stuff. But this is one of those things that's like, I don't want to see the solutions, because as soon as you see it, you can't unsee it, right? It's like trying to write a joke, but you can't listen to other people joke about the same subject, because you'll just end up writing their jokes again. You got to be careful. So anyway, I thought it was going to be a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of GIFs of it, and it is a lot of fun. Nice thing is the cars just have to get to where they need to go. They don't need to be like happy about it, and your bridge doesn't need to be standing. So I've had it where like the car gets all the way to the end, and something I did goes wrong. Like one beam, literally one beam. If I remove it, my whole bridge will fall down. So I put the beam back in. Car drives across. it finally breaks at the very end. The car just makes it onto the other side, and the bridge collapses, and the car flips over, and it goes, success!
Yep. You just have to make it.
Yeah, I designed a bridge like that. It was like the car would just come across, and then it breaks. Like one had to go to the upper ramp, and it was smaller, and then the heavy car comes, and the bridge just breaks, and it falls down. Succeed. Worth every penny at $250, and it's really a nice break, like an easygoing chill game that you can sort of cruise through. You and I were talking about it, and you say you were looking for something like that, but
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle game too.
yeah, but I'm still learning a little bit. Like I'm starting to understand, sort of through osmosis, how energy is properly transferred through arches and stuff.
Have you done any free body diagrams yet?
No, I have not. Not in the game. I did them in high school though. But like
Free body diagram.
I think it's a diagram where you
It's boring.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well then, fuck it. Never mind.
It's physics.
Yeah. But like
I hate physics.
I know arches are good, but I don't know exactly what's good about them. Like, should they be shallow? Should they be very steep? Should they go this way or the opposite way?
Do you like King Dakar and just make it go straight up and then straight down?
So I
Put a keystone stone.
usually
Oh,
I'm not kidding. That's exactly right. Sometimes I had a whole bridge made out of wood, and I had one section that I had to make out of steel, because if I made that section out of wood, the whole bridge would collapse. It would explode and fall down.
it
So-
explode?
Yeah, it's like snaps, and then everything snaps.
Oh.
But yeah, I like it a lot.
That actually sounds pretty sinister if people don't know the context.
All right, Devil May Cry 5. Please hit me with that sickness.
I'm gonna hit you with that dank shit. Devil May Cry 5 is the most recent installment of the Devil May Cry franchise. I think at one point, I believe I may have talked about DMC early on in our history
Oh
of
yeah,
the show. That game was a spin-off that diehard fans of the series mostly hated because it wasn't Devil May Cry. They just borrowed a lot of the same names and ideas, and it brought a lot over and then did other stuff with it. Some good, some bad. I still really love that game. Chris, I know you've played it.
Oh yeah.
It was fun. It was not a proper Devil May Cry game for as much time as I put into it. This is a proper Devil May Cry game. It harkens back to many aspects and previous ideas from the previous games while developing in new and interesting ways. And it is gorgeous and well executed about 99% of the way.
you showed us some gameplay before we started the show. It looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know that it is probably
Apocalyptic, maybe.
I probably say this every time there's a new system or like a serious growth in graphics, or like, how can it get any better? I remember saying that looking at an original Xbox, but like, I feel like they finally realized the vision of what these horrific demon things are supposed to look like. We were talking about there's like a floating smoke spirit, you know,
Dementor.
It's almost like a porcelain mask with a black flowing cape,
If you're familiar with the series, the Sin Scissors.
Also Dementor.
and it turns into sort of like mist at the end of the cape. And usually, from what I've seen in games, they just sort of blur the edges. And they go, that looks magical. This one doesn't do it. It's just really well drawn and rendered, and everything is sharp. And I'm like, that looks like a goddamn smoke spirit. I love it. I love it.
It's really good. It's really gorgeous. They spent a lot of time, I remember from an interview, trying to smooth out all the animations for the action. Whether that is like a transition in a boss fight. There were a few in that one at the end of that level. The Goliath, it's like the first real boss you fight. All those transitions are smooth, but even at like the micro level, for the most part, like if you do a dodge roll and then you are immediately start mashing the shoot button, like you will start to, your Nero will start to fire his gun as he's recovering. And like he's like pushing himself to his feet as he's already shooting. And it looks amazing. It's very, very sharp, very smooth. If the spin-off DMC was your first iteration of the game, this game feels slower because it's not built the same way. It is, still a character action game with some platforming and puzzling built in that emphasizes, in sort of an arcadey way, stylistically dispatching your foes, unlocking movesets, getting creative, dodging at the right times buffs your score, like just combo variety and using all the tools in your arsenal in creative ways. All bumps up your score, and you are awarded points, which then translate to the in-game red orb currency that you then use to buy items and more movesets.
I actually didn't know that it did that. I thought it was just like gerb. I didn't know it actually influenced you. Oh, cool.
Yep, a higher score gets you more currency to buy more shit.
Nice.
What they did really tastefully, and I'm gonna eager as I am to do so, I'm not gonna. There are significant spoilers if you care about the franchise in any shape or form or want to get into it. But they bring back enemies and even soundtrack influences from as far back as the very first game. The floating ghost spirit with the scissors that you like so much is from the very first game. And when they first introduce you to them in like the normal mode of the gameplay, they bring back a remixed iteration of its theme music from the first game. And it's
doot scissor me timbers.
Yes.
I'm a scissor monster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Correct. That's the exact
Sung
tune.
by Lady Gaga.
I can see you're familiar with the game.
Yes.
It's really, but it's like really tasteful, and they're not just like rehashing old ideas, because then they bring in enemies from the third game, and they bring in lots of new enemies that you've never encountered before. And I'm pretty sure there's stuff from even the second game which no one likes to talk about because it was horrible. This isn't meant to be a comprehensive history lesson on Devil May Cry, which I honestly could probably do quite well right now. But I should prepare for it more if that's what we're going to do. But this game is faithful to all the best parts of the old games, while just being an even better execution with some really cool new ideas. Story-wise, I mean, nothing too shocking if you're familiar with the franchise. Bunch of big evil crazy Mandu from hell brings lots of little crazy Mandus from hell through whom you have to fight to kill the big Mandu to save the universe.
What's the deal with the Luke Skywalker robot hands, or is that a spoiler?
It's not a spoiler. There are 3 playable protagonists. I'm going to answer your question indirectly here. 3 playable protagonists, 2 of them who were already established. Dante, of course, who has been the main character, period. Nero's who you start as, who first appeared in the 4th game, which, by the way, came out 10 years ago, which is another reason why this is a big deal, because it's been a while. And he was kind of a whiny emo asshole in 4, and he was annoying. And 4 was kind of an incomplete game. You played as you played as Nero first and then Dante later. But Nero's back with the same voice actor, and not annoying at all. He's actually trespassing on what counts for cool in this highly campy, silly franchise, with over-the-top demonic gore dripping all over it, and terrible dialogue to abrasively mismatch with it. It's part of the charm.
Yeah.
But Nero's back. He's not annoying, with all the same skill sets. He in 4 had his right arm was like a demon thing, and gave him demon powers. In the cutscenes at the opening of this game, and there are many, especially at the opening, that arm gets ripped off and taken back by some dude in a cloak.
Was it the robot devil?
It was not. It was not the robot devil, I'm sorry to say, because it was actually concealing a demonic weapon that has also been throughout the series, recurring thing. Yamato, it's a magic katana. It opens portals and is super duper powerful.
It's a giant dildo, aka weapon of ass destruction.
Yep.
Also, yes.
Kill them.
Anyway, so now Nero's without an arm, and this chick Nico, who we'll get back to later, makes robot. Yeah, stop it. Makes robot arms with various powers, and now Nero's mechanic is that you can customize your magazine of these arms. You can use them to a point until they break, and you can also break them on purpose to break holds. And they each have different powers. They might be just giving you a massive damage buff with like all kinds of crazy new animations. It could be like a whip arm that hurts everything around you really fast and extends your like grippo thing. There's one that heals you. There's one it's called the pasta breaker, and it just shoots a fork around that does like minor damage to shit. There's a Mega Man cannon because it's a Capcom IP. It's fun.
Oh, the fucking
It's fun.
fork.
It's fun. It's goofy, and I think I'm only missing one of the Devil Breakers at this point, the robot arms, but that's Nero's mechanic. And then he has a revolver that all the guns, by the way, have there's no ammunition. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's an anime. These games are an anime, a campy, silly, really, really fun to play anime. So that'll take care of most of the logic questions you will inevitably have, especially related to the story. Bless you. Throughout the series, that's not why you're here. You're here to beat up demons. So that's his mechanic, and he has a big silly Japanese sword. He has his gun that fires 2 bullets at once and never runs out of ammo, and he has these magic robot arms. And they're fun. And there's V, who is super gloomy emo kid guy.
Kid guy. Amazing.
You guys saw a glimpse of here. He is a new character to the franchise. Asterisk, spoilers, not going to say anything else about that. But
we got hit with the ugly stick. I hate to say it. Well, he's not really doesn't have feelings, but
that depends on who you ask. But he's a douchebag, and I don't like him very much. However, his mechanics are interesting in that he doesn't really do direct attacks himself. He controls these 2 animal demon things, a bird that talks with like a borderline what's that parrot from Aladdin?
Iago,
yeah.
Borderline like
Gilbert
Iago.
Godfrey.
Yes.
Like Gilbert.
One and the same.
Like Gilbert Gottfried crossed with Danny DeVito.
Oh my god!
But not as funny as you might think,
dude. If
just in sound. Anyway, just shut up. And then
so like if the 2 of them had a child and it was just a normal kid,
and then they hired that guy to be a voice actor, and he was okay.
Yeah.
I would pay twice the amount of money that the game cost for the deluxe edition where Gilbert Godfrey actually does the voice of that thing.
That would be amazing. Anyway, and then so he is your ranged attack. He's your gun. He fires electric stuff. He has electric special moves you can use. And he has his own little health bar. And then the other one is a like tiger leopard thing that morphs into shadow things and shapeshifts and does all kinds of crazy melee. Panther, yeah, kind of. Who does all kind. He's your melee attacker, and your job is to hang back and not get hit while directing your minions to do damage in creative ways. They have their own health bars and they can go down, but then some time will elapse and they'll come back into the fight. And then he has a third demon. It's just a big golem looking thing. It's his devil trigger, his like super duper special move to summon him, and he just does a fuckload of damage. But they can only bring the health bars down until the enemies are stunned, and then when they're stunned, you then have to get into the fray for the final blow for each enemy.
Oh,
yeah. So interesting take, new to the series. I don't know about how new it is to gaming, but fits pretty well with the existing mechanics. Does take some getting used to, but it was fun. He's interesting to play as. It forces you to be more tactical for sure, because you have to keep your eye on 3 good guys instead of just yourself.
Well, as an enlightened rationalist, this is exactly perfect because I only think rationally, and the game can finally allow me to express myself in a rational way with high level strategy because I know what to do. It's really good for my 140 IQ.
That was soft enough that Mike didn't pick it up at all.
Oh, it picked it up. It was. It happened. So then, and then there's Dante.
I feel enlightened.
Shut up. Then there's Dante. And he is his best iteration so far, in my opinion. He gets a collection of different weapons throughout the game, as he does in every game. He has a wide array of firearms that he produces from nowhere. Don't worry about it. It's an anime.
Don't think about it.
And he can turn into like a partial demon thing and for speed and damage boost. There's always like a few pretty serious weapons, and then there's always 1 or 2 kind of comical ones.
Like a fork?
Like a
pasta fork?
Like a demon-possessed motorcycle that you can separate into halves and use as giant buzzsaws.
That's amazing.
But you can also ride the motorcycle.
You can also reassemble it and ride it, yes.
Oh, can you ride half of it and then hold it kind of like a unicycle?
No.
And then have the other half be the chainsaw.
No.
Why?
But you can.
That would be amazing.
Do big lumbering motions and cut things in half with halves of a motorcycle.
Your motorcycle turns into chainsaws.
Essentially.
Skin your ass raw.
It's pretty silly. He also has a Michael Jackson hat.
Okay.
What?
Imagine the hat from Super Mario. What was it? The most recent one.
Galaxy.
No.
Planet.
Odyssey.
Sure. Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey, where you got the hat thing and you can use it to possess people. You don't use it to possess people, but when you hit people with it, it's a
I know, right?
it's a range. Shut up! It's a ranged weapon.
I'm not familiar with
Shut
this.
up! And then it literally like.
Is this canon?
Shut up! And then it lands on. When you hit demons with it, it lands on their head, and it costs your red orbs, your currency, to use it. But then you'll gain more back when you kill them.
That
if you
is
kill them while they're wearing the
ridiculous
hat,
sounding.
so there's like a gambling element. When you get it, you do like a Michael Jackson impersonation dance.
No.
Complete with
up.
crotch grabbing. It's insane.
No.
Wow.
No, I don't believe
It's
that
completely
part.
out of place. It is real. I assure you, it is silly. It is highly silly. Not new to the series either. In Devil May Cry 3, he has a little rock concert after he gets a literal electric guitar that someone's bats. Yeah, these games are silly while being excessively violent and gory.
But where does the electric guitar plug into?
It is a.
Do you remember the time when it was a demon weapon and this is an anime?
Does it plug into the telephone booth that's still working?
No, different game, sweetie.
Wait.
It's okay. Don't think
it's
about
not
it.
in this one?
No, it's in 3.
Mm.
Just eat your chocolate or whatever that is.
Oh my
You're
god.
crunching munching on
Eat
the
your
mic.
bonbons.
Do I pluck out for apple fire? Why not?
Can we talk about the Elvis impersonator lady who just appears out of nowhere and builds arms?
Another new character is
Nico.
Nico, and she
Ugh.
is a sort of business partner / charges for her services and not the sexual kind, but she is there to be eye candy. Rolls around in a van with Nero and builds and replaces his robot arms. She's supposed to be quirky and funny and
Oh,
sexy,
boy.
except my literal
Adorable.
only complaint about the entire game, because the rest of it is legitimately one of the best games I've ever played. But I am a fanboy, so bias, etc. Is her voice actress.
Dude,
You guys got to see a healthy dose of that woman, and I'm you had some pretty colorful analogies. My go-to now has been it's a fake Southern drawl, okay, at its base.
Painful.
For the listener, go look up cutscenes from Devil May Cry 5 where she's in it. It's a terrible like Southern Belle voice, except I'm pretty sure it's the world's only female Elvis impersonator.
There's got to be more than.
I mean, there might be a forum somewhere or
It's a
people
whole
or like a
subreddit.
small convention, okay, of Elvis. I'm sure is there an Elvis impersonator convention? I'm sure there is, and I'm sure women show up to it. All the power to them. Don't hire them to portray like a normal Southern accent, because we have half a country of eligible candidates.
Yeah.
And they will sound authentic. It's real. I mean, the dialogue is not great. It's arguably the best out of the series, but from day one, Devil May Cry 1, the dialogue is campy and garbage, and like definitely written by Japanese people and translated into English by people who may or may not be native speakers.
I looked up the actress. She's Australian and has lived she's like half Chinese, half Irish, but born in Australia.
That could almost not be any less correct.
Yeah.
That is wrong. Why would
fucking Keith Urban comes over here, starts singing country music, and now they're like Australians, they're Southern.
I mean,
Look,
they are down under. But
like it's so bad. It's so in a game that's already like cringy to an extent that it's part of the charm.
Yeah.
It sticks out
as
like
too much.
Like, okay, do you remember before you had seen Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker?
No.
Darius Rucker, before you saw what he looked like, and you had it in your head, and then you see him, you're like, oh my God, that was not what I was expecting at all. Or the lead singer of Creed. Like, you hear this guy's voice, and then you look at him, and you're like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. this is like the opposite process. Like this lady is like clearly an anime eye candy. She's built like a brick shit house. Unbelievably track, sexy tattoos all over the place, a little belly shirt.
She's in the background of like the menu screens.
Yeah.
And she's just like, kind of idling around, fiddling with a toy, like just like leaning on the counter all sexy.
Her hair.
Like she's quiet, okay?
Yeah.
If you've played Metal Gear Solid 5, she is quiet except not actually useful in gameplay.
Right. And
Useful extremely useful as far as the story goes, but like you can use quiet in the game. She's at least quiet doesn't fucking talk. With some terrible
her major visual.
Someone's gonna have a giant problem with that.
There are other. I'm sorry, Bill. There are other female characters in the game who, to be fair, should have been given gameplay time and were not, but who do talk and are not annoying and are useful.
Right.
They've been one of them. In fact, is from the very first game. So. It's across the board, like Nero's girlfriend from 4, who you hear in the background. You never see her in this game, but you hear her a couple times. She's just like a sweet, homely, just wants to. She's extremely feminine and no demon powers whatsoever, and just like she's normal. She's a normal person who just happens to be in love with this crazy strong Nero guy. And then there's Trish and Lady, who were from 1 and 3, did Devil May Cry's 1 and 3 respectively, as like a backup character, who were like legitimately powerful and well armed. I mean, they're not as powerful as Dante, but that's the point. Dante is Goku. Like, no one can even approach him. The point is that we run the gamut here. Okay, Nico. It would be perfectly acceptable in this framework, except her voice actress is garbage. That's really her only problem.
And the picture I was trying to paint is like this character model that they obviously put a lot of effort into, and then like the only problem with her visually is her fucking teeth, which they like. What are those little things at gum called? Chiclets? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, but you know what's funny is it fits with her accent and her voice. Well, is the teeth. It does.
And then she starts to talk and you go,
what the fuck?
This is not what I imagined at all. This sounds like somebody, it sounds like a 12-year-old like girl doing a really bad impression of somebody from the South who has sustained like ongoing traumatic brain injury. It just
ongoing.
Like they're still hitting her in the head in the sound booth
as she's recording. Yeah.
Listen, I've had 6 concussions. Some of them have been rough. I didn't sound smart after them. This person sounds like that was there every day. It pulls you out so much. You're like, wait the fuck a minute. I'm not saying you need some like dowdy Mr. Whatever, I can't fucking handle myself around you, Dante, or whatever the fuck. I'm not like saying you need some cringe machine like that, but holy Christ, a person who just sounds normal, that would have been so much better.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Her dialogue is every bit as cringy as everyone else's. Her usefulness is not in question in terms of the plot, right? She has some fun moments in and of themselves with driving the van through impossible circumstances, the phone booths to summon her right before a boss fight, which, by the way, continues through the deepest, darkest depths of the tree. It's funny.
Excellent.
It's a meme. It's part of the fun. The problem is that she sounds like
garbage.
Shit.
Hey, my grandmama was 45 caliber artisan. I just want to be like her.
That was too accurate to being Southern.
If you knock it up a few octaves, that's exactly what she sounds like.
That really wasn't as far off as you might imagine. But anyway, we've been harping on Nico's voice, and I gotta say, as terrible as it is, I'm trying really hard to roll it into the rest of the cringe of these games. It sticks out too much, but it doesn't happen often enough. I mean, first of all, you can skip the cutscenes.
No.
I deliberately didn't because we needed to discuss.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. We needed to be all on the same page here, and I assure you it doesn't get any better.
We needed to make sure we all hated her at the same amount.
But back to good things about the game. Smooth action, all these characters have different movesets that you do unlock separately. Really fun, Everything's intact in terms of, except for some minor technicalities as far as how the other games work. Okay, designed for replaying, designed for, you can play through it on easy mode if you want. If you just want to dip your toe in and you're not super good at these games or have never played one before, whatever, you can play it on human. You can play it on Devil Hunter, which is normal mode, and you will have a learning curve. You will get your shit wrecked. I died a lot on the normal run. I've only just started Son of Sparta, which is hard mode. After you beat that, there will be another mode that's even harder with like enemy remixes, and even the reboot did this, DMC, and then another one that's like even harder than that. I expect, and I haven't researched it, that they will include the insane modes, which are, everything including you die in one hit, which has been around since the third game, and probably even you die in one hit and everything else is at full strength, full difficulty. Like the hardest mode.
An unending devil trigger.
But that's an option. You'll probably, I'm expecting all of these things to be intact because they've always been there, which makes it familiar in a good way. And, it's still 20 missions, which is the typical number of missions. It is divided up. It's not one continuous thing. Like, the style system, D through at least double S. I haven't gotten a triple S yet. Style rating for your combos and stuff, and for level completion. That framework is there. If you are familiar with and have liked the Devil May Cry games, it will feel very at home to you. But it'll look the best it's ever been. It'll play the smoothest it's ever been. Probably about the fastest it's ever been. Devil May 3 Cry. Devil May Dante 3 Cry may be the third game.
Devil May Dante Don't Cry. Damn it! Devil May Dante Cry.
Yes, that one. The third game in the series might have a faster Dante. It's not a problem if that's true, because the Dante in this game feels really good. He's really fun. Man, the like technical difference in terms of like how the game plays is you don't have healing items anymore, which I was reticent to use in the first place, because it would impact your score negatively in the previous games. But what they also did in the previous games was they capped your gold orbs, which are extra lives, at 3 per mission.
Whoa.
So they let you just revive right where you were and continue the fight, as opposed to go back to a checkpoint or restart the level. What they do now is there's no healing items. There's still green orbs you'll pick up passively to restore health on the fly, but you can't go to your menu, pick a healing item and restore your health bar that way, or a devil trigger replenishing one and restore it that way. You have to just deal with your circumstances. So those are gone, and instead there's no cap to the number of gold orbs you can have. So you can choose to revive as many times right then in the moment as you want, but they're not common. You cannot buy them. You have to find them. And there's essentially a finite number.
Do you like that mechanic? 'Cause
I don't die. I haven't died enough, having only played normal, to have needed it all very much. You saw me have to use one just beating the first real boss here in Mission 2. At the very end of its health bar, which was super frustrating because I was also...
You killed it literally 3 more hits.
Yeah, it was upsetting. And if I had just been a little less greedy, because I was almost dead too, and he just got one in.
It took away 99% of the excitement that I had in watching you play, in that you were just like able to, I just fully healed and fight him again.
Yeah, I didn't have to. I mean, I could have just either spent red orbs on it, which are your main currency, or bailed and retried the fight. But we wanted to get started here, so I was like, I'll just burn her because it was so dude. I had no health left, and it had no health left. And dude, at the end, like when the pressure was on, it was exciting. There were some crazy moves in there, man. Like that's the thing about these games is like you have to play them over and over and over again on the increasing difficulties, and you have to like it's unlike a Dark Souls where it's one learning curve, and you can you on one playthrough, like one playthrough is much longer. Right. And, there are many ways to get good at that learning curve. In this, you have a set of tools you need to get. It's like Fury in this respect. And I compared Fury to this series in that you have to get good with the tools you have with a much more limited scope of a game. But then by the time you're good at it, you're playing on these crazy difficulties where like, you're barely doing any damage to them and you die in like 3 hits and you get fucking good. You get good and you score higher. It's all about that fucking score, right? And you can just play like an arcade game. Or you can play through, for fun and you're done. You don't have to keep climbing that ladder, but the ladder is there. And it's really rewarding getting good at these kinds of games.
Even as a layman, even as a chump.
Lame man.
I was
got him. You
did. I was watching this and I was struck immediately by how stunning it was visually, like how well defined all the monsters are. I'm used to these this sort of brutal art style where the monsters just look like these mud, gross, toxic sludges, like muck the Pokemon on legs. Mm-hmm. No, this one is neatly defined, really well drawn, but the monsters are designed in such a way that I'm viscerally uncomfortable the entire time. Mm-hmm. Genevieve was remarking before we started, they have too many vertebrae. And it fundamentally just makes me uncomfortable, and that monkey brain in my head is this is a fucked up thing. You don't like this, run away or crush it or whatever. And it looked so smooth. It's clear they tried really hard, and it seems like they fucking nailed it and
really pulled it off.
Unbelievable.
They really, really pulled it off.
How much playtime have you gotten out of it so far?
I don't know the hours. It's probably been under 20 at this point.
Okay.
But I've played through normal mode. I played a bit of easy, but I got bored because it's easy. Mm-hmm. And it's almost impossible. It's harder to score well in easy because everything dies so fast. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do it just to have the scores appear there because I don't know, I'm autistic or something. But I'm going to chug through hard mode and all that shit first, and then just beat up easy when I'm so good at the game I don't even have to think about it. You know what I mean? Because and every one of these games, even though there's so much familiarity and there's so much overlap in terms of the surface structure, you got to get good every single time. Devil May Cry 3, when that came out, we were in 9th or 10th grade. Old fucking game at this point, highly replayable. And by the way, you can get the original trilogy for $10 on a 360 or I think even an Xbox One disc now. Good. And it's for some reason it's always pretty expensive on Steam, but it does get that cheap on Steam sales. And you can go on Amazon or eBay or whatever and get a hard copy that way. Highly worth it if you're into these sorts of things. You can play 2 for some morbid curiosity, but 1 and 3 are excellent fucking games. And in every one of them, there's that wall you have to smash into. In 3, when it came out, I died on the first boss probably 17 times. It was garbage. It was just wipe the floor with me. And then once I got through it, once I got over that hump, I didn't die that often ever again until the last couple of bosses. But it's so good. It's so hard at first, and then you get good, and you look so flashy with it. It's so streamable. I'm definitely gonna, once I get that figured out again, then we're gonna start streaming it more.
What's your rating? What do you give it?
Dude, it's comfortably a 9. If we're gonna subdivide, I would call it a 9.5. Out of 5. No, out of 10.
9.5 what's?
9.5. Dicks out of 10 balls.
Dicks and balls.
Okay.
Dicks and balls.
Excellent.
Since we're always mixing units when we do this.
Yeah, I enjoy
Suck
that.
my
Yeah, we
unit.
do make
I'm standardizing on dicks and balls because fuck you.
I'm glad you are. All right, this leads me to another important question. There's a Mega Man arm in this game.
There's a Mega Man arm
Does
in this game.
anybody have any warm and fuzzy feelings about a Mega Man experience ever? I don't. It's like Sonic. I never got it. I don't get it.
I played a bit of one game for the Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
I got pretty good. I'm pretty sure I beat it at least once. It was very hard. Side scroller, lots of vertical navigation too. But it's traps and maneuvering and aiming your arm the right way and picking up the when you kill a boss, you obtain their power and you can put their arm on. It gives you their shit.
Is that what
it's
it
fun
does for you in this game?
No. In this game, they added, for Nero, who has the replaceable arms, they added a Mega Man arm because Capcom owns both IPs. And it's just like the main blaster, that you see in the cartoons. And it's Mega Man's main thing. And it's an effective but not overpowered weapon therein. But as far as Mega Man goes, I had that one experience. I enjoyed it. I didn't pursue it beyond that.
If I'm going to go with a gun arm protagonist, I'm going to go with Samus. I'm going to go with my girl Samus, who's 9 feet tall and 900 pounds. And
900 pounds?
And I was
because in her suit.
Yeah,
okay.
I wonder if Death Battle has done them. You guys ever watch Death Battle?
Mm-mm.
Their channel on I think it's part of Screw Attack maybe, but they pit fictional characters, movie, anime, cartoon, video game characters against each other, and they get they run the stats, right? They spend like one third of the video each for whoever they're pitting against each other, and then the last segment, third, whatever, is an animated fight thereof. It might be pixelated. Lately it's been like lots of 3D renderings because they get they're a well-established channel with income, and they can hire people to do shit. Pretty fun. They do a Dante versus Bayonetta, which is pretty sweet. It's one of the better, one of my favorite ones. But I mean, imagine it. They've done it. I'm trying to think. They've done like Goku Superman like 3 times now. Spoilers: Superman wins. I'm sorry.
What?
Every time.
Lame.
Their rationale is pretty fucking sound, and as much as I
him.
prefer Goku, it's just like
This reminds me, I guess it was on the Joe Rogan Experience. They were talking about who would win, a silverback gorilla or a brown bear. And we brought this up at work, and I'm 100% the bear would destroy that gorilla because they weigh like twice as much. How did we settle it? We looked up the stats for both monsters in the Dungeon Masters creature guide for D&D 5th edition, and the bear was it was a more difficult enemy. So
Do you remember the challenge rating?
Yeah, it had a higher challenge rating.
Yeah, which you remember the challenge rating?
I think it was like 4v5.
I could go get my
sorry,
monster.
I'm stretching
Is it in the normal monster manual or is it in Volos?
I don't know, dude.
Dungeons and
We'll have to
Dragons.
check that.
Did we ever find out the shark debate?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was like shark versus bear.
I'm not even going to entertain
Okay.
that. I'm not even going to entertain
That's a silly thing.
Yeah.
It
Because
is.
the shark is either fucked or the bear is fucked.
Yeah, like the environment itself is fucking one of them.
Yeah.
So if I was going to go with go ahead.
If
sorry.
I was going to go with a gun arm, it would be Barrett from Final Fantasy VII.
Solid.
Because, come on.
Yep. It is,
Yeah.
It is...
He is very silly.
I'd still stick with my girl Samus, who hasn't been the same since the original Smash Bros. But I will tell you, when I finally saw her drawn out, I don't want this to... I know I bitch a lot about stuff, but when she turned out to be this blonde...
Bodacious
babe anime character, I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I thought we were going to get this 6.5 foot tall Amazonian who is just super jacked. You know what I mean? Like if you took one of the UFC fighters and dragged to the corner of their picture and made them 7 feet tall, and they'd be like, this is what plus
but extra large.
I don't know. They just got an
Supersize
anime
it.
character. Oh, here it is. It exists.
It's not
melee.
long form.
Versus
It's called a 1 minute melee. They skip all the analysis stuff and just animate the fight and just real quick. It's like an under 4 minute video. I have it up here. We'll watch it later. But
all right. So
amazing.
Anybody got anything on the top of their heads before we kick it to the break? Kick it to the break.
Push it to the limit.
Would we I have experimented with City Skylines a little bit, if anybody is interested in that game.
Yeah. Give us a little bit on that.
Did anyone play SimCity ever?
Yeah.
No.
I played
the very first one on
Excellent.
my Windows 3.1.
Yeah, that's an old ass
You're
game,
fucking
man. That's
OG.
from 1993.
I was 8. I don't think I played one since though.
So SimCity 3000 and SimCity 4 both stepped it up very a significant number of levels from the previous iterations, because SimCity 2000 came out for Windows 95.
I think my friend had I don't know if it was 2000, but it was I may have played that one too.
Yeah.
But he had a SimCity game for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that was it.
Was it the
SimCity
same
2000
one?
came out for Super Nintendo and Windows 95. It was a very, very popular game back in the day. But then SimCity 3000 came out, I want to say around 2000, maybe 2001. So I don't remember if it released natively for XP. It might have honestly even been a Windows 98 game. Anyway, the technology jump between 2000 and 3000 was it was unreal. Like it was very, think of like a Bomberman or something like that, like a SNES game level graphics with like minimal details and whatnot in your cities for SimCity 2000, and then SimCity 3000 comes out and it looks like a fucking city. You know, it's still, we're talking, you know, like turn of the millennium graphics, so nothing incredible by today's standards, but like even if you looked at it now, you would be able to tell, oh yes, that looks like a city. You know, not just like blocks on a screen.
Yeah.
SimCity 4 came out around 2004, 2005, and this game was, I'm pretty sure, revolutionary just in terms of the sheer depth to the game. Where in SimCity 3, the concept of the game is basically you're building a city by zoning districts of what you think should be built there and trying to balance the demands between enough people living there and different types of jobs available to them, and then also providing the services that will keep them safe and happy and educated and healthy, right? So you have to contend with the normal problems of what a city that it grows rapidly or not so rapidly or is in decline would contend with, like providing those basic services, providing electricity, dealing with pollution, traffic congestion, all that kind of stuff. And the tools that they give you, just because, like I said, the limitations of the engine of the game itself in the earlier iterations, you couldn't have that many different tools. Like you could have like a couple of each different type of service that you could provide, a couple different power stations, all that kind of stuff. And what it boiled down to is you've got a few different tools in your belt to go out and deal with these problems. And you know, you could probably figure it out pretty quickly on how to create like massive super cities, because there just really wasn't much variation there. When SimCity 4 came out, though, this game was huge. You not only had the different zoning and all the same things that you saw in the previous games with trying to balance all that stuff, but they increased the transportation options by like, there had to be 20 times the amount of different transportation options available for you to be able to figure stuff out, from getting streets and roads and highways and all these different levels in between, all the way up to subways and light rail and freight rail and monorail. If you wanted to do elevated rail, you could do that. I mean, it was nuts, the number of options that you had to deal with different things. And then same thing on the what's it called? Services side. I mean, you had, you know, probably 5 different types of police stations and fire stations and different hospitals that you could build. And then you had all these unique buildings that you could build as your city grew. And the level of detail that you had to analyze the statistics of the city itself went from, you had like 4 or 5 graphs to like 30 graphs that you could check.
Oh, yeah.
So the amount of data that you could collect and like kind of fine tune exactly what your city needed jumped exponentially, along with the different things that you could do to fix problems. The SimCity series kind of went silent for about a decade. So 2004, 2005, like I said, was SimCity 4.
Well, I'm going to cut in here because I did play SimCity, and it was on my phone, though. It was a mobile version, and it was kind of fun. From how you described it, I wouldn't have liked it at all if I was a legacy SimCity player. And then you get into it right when you really start to get invested. Microtransactions become the best way to advance the game, and I stopped playing it. But there was an entry; it was just that mobile.
Exactly. It went dark for about a decade, and then that game that you just described came out.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
totally jumped your story.
No, that's fine. You just hit the nail on the head. I don't remember who originally published SimCity 4, but that developer. And you know what? Honestly, I think SimCity 4, I think it was still under the EA umbrella 10 years ago or 15 years ago at this point. But yeah, in the era of 2014, 2015, 2016, something like that, whenever the new SimCity game came out, it debuted at the very start of the EA microtransactions saga, where that game comes out, and they had to make it so that there was a dual. Now there is a PC version of the game, right? And the microtransactions I think are still there. I only know because I don't really know because I played a 48-hour trial version of it, but it is just I don't even know how to describe it. It is nowhere close to the same game. To be fair, I will always give a developer a pass if they try to significantly change a game because it needs, like you just don't want to repeat the same formula over and over and over and over again, right?
When you say that, I think of what the Civilization series did with Civilization's Revolution and their Game Boy entry. I mean, it changed a lot. It kept a lot of the research and some city management, but it toned everything down. And it could have been plopped on a mobile device. I think maybe it was, but I played it on my Game Boy, and it turns into like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour game instead of 25-hour game.
Yeah,
they did a great job. They did a really, really great job. It's a very different experience, but it led to the series evolving in a way that I think, frankly, it needed to.
Yes, eventually a studio has to. I'm going to use the word revolutionize, but it doesn't even have to be revolutionized. They have to mix it up, right? You can't just create 15 versions of the same game, each with new and improved graphics and the same overall general mechanics, and
excepting sports games.
Yeah, exactly. So, SimCity comes out, and it's kind of like a fresh reboot, but it is kind of what you described with Revolution, but it fell flat. It just didn't have the depth that anybody was looking for. I think it was designed to kind of be a toned down thing and be more of a in passing type of game instead of I'm going to sit down and play this for hours on end type game.
Yeah, I played it every time I took a shit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the idea was going for, but what EI failed to realize is that the game only appealed to a niche set of people, and those people wanted to get really into it.
Yeah.
And it ended up falling flat with everybody. Nobody who had never really played the game before got that into it, because like the biggest thing that came out was like the size of the area that you had to build your city was like a 10th or a 20th the size of like some of the smaller blocks that you had to build on in SimCity 4. So it's like you couldn't create these, like what people always wanted to do was create these monstrous mega cities. Like they wanted to start from nothing and they wanted to create these sprawling metropolises that spread out. One of the things that SimCity 4 introduced in a much better way was how the different, like you could create different cities in the same region that would all link up to one another. So you could have all these like massive blocks on the east side of this big region of farmland, and then slowly get your suburbs, and then as you get into the center, you start seeing these big sprawling metropolises that all look like Manhattan for like 3, 4, 5 square miles, several little smaller city areas, and that's everybody commutes, and you could have a highway that spans all the way out from that farmland all the way across the map into your city. And it was really interesting. But you couldn't really do that. I mean, I think you could technically do that with SimCity, but either it was you had to pay a lot of microtransactions to unlock all the shit that you wanted, grind away forever, or just like it was very, very, very difficult to do. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the thing. Anyway, another studio comes out with a game called City Skylines, which is almost a ripoff of SimCity 4. And all the SimCity 4 fans go nuts for it. Because it was almost, not necessarily a reskin, but it took SimCity 4 and it improved it in every way. It made the graphics better. One of the things that was just the nature of how the game was developed was it was very difficult to do curved roads and anything, really. It was like it just didn't really ever line up properly, and it was very, very difficult. It didn't make too much sense. This game managed to tackle that. It gave everybody everything you want, and I really enjoy it. It was it's free to play on Xbox right now with Game Pass. So if you're interested in the game and you have Game Pass, no investment needed. except for the time it takes to download it and the space on your hard drive. And I'd recommend giving it a shot. It does an excellent job with the tutorial entries. If you've never played a game like this before, you can. It's nice because it can cater to two different types of people. It can cater to the types who are kind of like builders who just want to get out there, learn the ins and outs of like what it takes to plan a city, quote unquote. Obviously not really, but the general concept behind city planning, where you have like areas where people live, areas where people work, how to get people efficiently between the two areas, how to provide services on a budget that makes sense for everybody, all that stuff. It teaches you a lot about the theoretical concepts behind this stuff, but it also gives you the opportunity to be very creative. If you are a person that likes to create things that look nice, you can create really nice suburbs, almost like an architectural thing, where you can create really nice areas for people to live, or all that stuff. Really nice downtown districts. The models that they have out there, you can plant different types of trees and rocks, so you can really kind of get into like a architectural or landscaping type thing where you just make it look pretty. So if you fall into one of those two categories, you would probably really enjoy this game, and especially for it being free, I think it's really worth taking a look at. And it's a game where a lot of people are really into it and are happy to share their knowledge. So you can, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there for you to give you tutorials if what they have in game does not get the job done for you to quite understand what you're doing. And they'll help you get good real quick.
It looks great, and every once in a while I see like a GIF or something of like just traffic patterns, or somebody's like, I'm really proud of how they came up with highway flows and
right.
SimCity 3000, when I was that age, was just too intimidating. I never got into it, and I'm really glad to hear about the tutorial thing. I guess that's the other approach that you can take as a developer to get casuals, norms. You were saying norms earlier, into your game. Instead of watering it down, aka Fallout, whatever, you just make the information avenues superior. So I'm pretty stoked. It's got me fired up. I bought the game. I haven't downloaded it. I haven't put it up. It's got to be taxing on your system though to have all those simulations running.
I'm not sure. I mean, I have it on console, so it just runs. It's designed to run for that. Yeah. I haven't encountered any issues on my 1X, but then again, the 1X is kind of a monster. So, maybe if your machine's a little on the older side, you might have some issues. But it looks great on
2 years?
Decent settings. So
yeah, we play on Genevieve's machine, and it's not old. It just has a high processing speed, but low thread number processor. So it's really good for things that have like one big logic path, like Civilization or Sims. But in games like where there's multiple independent simulations running, which I imagine might work for Skylines.
That this is how that runs.
Yeah, it would be good to have more cores so that you could do all those things at the same time. So you could hyper-thread. Yeah.
So I think, given, and here's just my experience, and they're different developers, so you have no idea how they coded it. And I mean, realistically, we don't have any idea how SimCity 4 was coded. But my computer, when SimCity 4 came out, was probably slightly above middle of the road, and it handled that game fine. Hopefully that translates to, if you have a computer that's above middle of the road, it will handle City Skylines fine.
I might pick it up and test it.
Yeah. You can normally find it on sale, or at least like grab it for a free weekend. It comes up on Steam, I think, like play the game for the weekend for free, and you'll get 48 hours to play it.
If you had to pay for it, how much would you pay for it to own it?
Probably 20, maybe $25. Maybe even 30. If I don't know if there's DLC out there or not. The base game definitely seems like it could be worth 30, but I also haven't played it enough to really get that, to really understand, like, am I going to get $30 out of this game? I don't know. We'll see. Probably.
All right, good luck.
But definitely 20. If you can see it for 20, absolutely worth it.
All right. Before our section gets too long, I'm going to kick it to the ladies.
Yes.
What are you guys excited about in the coming weeks? I can think of one thing that you're throwing a party for, but it doesn't have to be that.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I mean Thrones right now. Well, this is too busy. I haven't been playing any games.
Oh, yeah.
My last semester of class, so.
You're going to be a pharmacist?
Well, I still have another year, but it's all rotations. I have no more class after this.
Damn.
They just rub the medication on your back.
No, they massage cows.
Oh,
and chickens.
Okay, yeah.
A farm of masseuse.
Well, good for you. That's awesome.
Farmers
it's going to be nice when you're not so goddamn busy all the time.
I know.
But you're still probably going to work like 4 jobs.
Yeah, I'll just
You have 2 jobs and you're a full-time student right now, right? Yeah, okay. Well, whatever. God damn it.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
Keep crushing it.
Dude. What about you, G? What are you looking forward to?
Game of Thrones, and then I'm actually starting my classes. I mean, that will be in May, but still.
You're getting your Master's of Business
Association.
Domination.
Administration. Oh, my God.
Here's how to associate with a business. Acquire their business cards.
I've mastered the art of associating with a business.
Acquire business cards. Forge your name onto them.
I actually do have business cards already. So,
yes.
Chris, what are you excited about? All right.
I love that too.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break and we'll catch you on the flip side. Welcome back. Here we are switching it up with our relevant industry news in the second session.
You're fired.
Los Angeles man who pleaded guilty in Wichita swatting incident that left father dead, sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, if you don't recall this story, or perhaps if you do, we talked about it on the podcast a while ago. It seemed that a minor bet over Call of Duty, I think a Call of Duty stream, escalated to one of the individuals involved calling the police and swatting or attempting to swat the other individual, which is where you do something like report an active shooter situation at somebody's house so that the police send in a SWAT team. And the thing is, they don't usually ask you questions about what's going on because it's an active shooter hostage situation. They got to take it down real quick.
No knock. Usually,
I think they just show up and they go in because they got to disable the attacker. It's like something's going bad right now.
Yeah.
We need the police help.
There's no time.
Right. So it's turned into some sort of internet humor. I think
it's used to like troll people. Lots of big in streamer culture. I mean, a few people whose podcasts I watch, like, even admitted to, like, yeah, I mean, when I was a dipshit, years ago, I used to do that. Like, it's happened to me a few times. You just put your hands up and you let them do their. You say nothing. You just let them do their thing. You do whatever they say. Yeah. But in this example, this fella, the guy who made the call, Tyler Barris, of Los Angeles, had the wrong address for who the other person was, or the other person gave him the wrong address or something. And it was some dude in Kansas, and the cops showed up, and
and he gave a false description. From what I read about the story, he gave a false description of the house in question. The police showed up to the house and it didn't match, but they didn't have a procedure for what to do if it's a suspected fake call. So they just did what they were trained to do. And this guy ended up coming to his own front door and getting shot by a cop from like across the street.
Yeah, he had a remote in his hand. I think a television remote. I think is what I heard. And he initially complied and put his hands up, but then like he just put his hands back down, which is
he put his hands towards his waistband, and then they killed him.
By the way, is where your hands naturally rest.
Right.
So it's a bullshit excuse, but he should have kept his hands up, but like some type of procedure that would have been in place because the house isn't what they said it was.
I don't know. I mean, if it's one of those things, like I had one of the many issues I had with this whole situation is the cop who shot him was like across the street. I don't think the concealed pistol that they thought he had that he was reaching for was really going to smoke that cop. So it was a whole fucking mess. Well, part of the thing that makes these so hard to pursue as well is that you can disguise your phone number by making phone calls like over the internet and redirecting it through a bunch of different layers. So it's like an untraceable call. I mean, I imagine it could be done eventually, but it's very difficult. So police departments just don't like, what can they do? Well, it seems like we're finally getting to a resolution on the part of the individual who made the phone call. Now, I think the other person provided the swatter a fake address, and I was sort of interested in him being pursued for some level of gross negligence. I don't see how you could possibly think that when you participate in a culture where swatting is the norm, and you give somebody else's address to somebody who's threatening to swat you, you can then be surprised when somebody gets swatted. Anyway,
have they found that person yet? Or
yeah, they got everybody real quick. It was all on video, and I mean, they were streaming, people recorded it, as I understand. But he not only he pleaded guilty, so they probably gave him a deal, right? Isn't that usually why people take plea deals? And then so he's been sentenced.
I mean, 20 years in prison, dude.
He got 20 years. He's been sentenced to 20 years?
I'm not going to
So,
I'm not going to make the argument that's not enough. Actually, I kind of think it's appropriate. But I mean, if that's part of a plea deal, put a raw deal.
Yeah.
Well, what was he charged with?
I think the number was 51 charges in total. I don't think, and some of them were other swatting calls that he was proven to have made to other states, but obviously no one died. I don't think they were all swatting calls. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a list out here somewhere. We just have an ABC News article up right now. But yeah, he did plead guilty.
What did he? See, now what I'm guessing, and I'm not a lawyer, I wonder if he took a plea deal so that he was, well, if you're charged for murder or something, that's a state level crime typically. So,
yeah, it's not murder he's going away for. It's manslaughter, but
yeah, which I think is also a state level crime, and maybe he took a plea so he didn't have to do some sort of
all over a bet of $1.50.
Yeah,
that I think the other guy who provided the fake address didn't pay or some shit.
Maybe it was so he would avoid some minimum sentencing.
They were charged. The other kids.
Oh, good.
But to what extent, I don't know. But trying to see.
This is one of those things, like you're saying, this, like 20 years is a long time.
He won't do all of it.
What?
I mean,
he won't do all of it.
No, and that's one of the things at state level. I think it's you can get out for good
Even federal
behavior.
level.
Federal level, I think you have to serve 80% of your time. State level is much more relaxed.
It always depends. It depends on how long. It depends on how many people they need to fit in federal prisons and how many places they have available.
But anyway, I mean, what a dum-dum. He's going away for 20 years, and it's like the best 20 years that he was going to have, right? His next 20. He's going to come out 20 years older, or 15 years, or 10 years, or 8 years, or whatever. It's still a long time to be away. But this is no joke, man. And that's the thing. It's like, I always get to a tough thought here. It's like, yeah, this guy should absolutely be punished. How long is long enough? And it's never long enough, because that guy who's dead is fucking dead forever. So to a degree, it's like, it doesn't matter how many years you give him, he's not coming back. So I don't know. What do you guys have? what are your guys' thoughts on this whole situation? I'm really pleased to see that there are consequences to this. Hopefully this.
I agree. I don't know what's going to become of the other kids involved. It shouldn't be nothing, that's for sure. I really wish there was some more culpability for the officers involved, because shooting at a remote control because someone's hands are by their sides is not a valid excuse to pull the trigger. It shouldn't be. And that could easily open the door to a whole other discussion that I don't want to do right now about police and stuff. We've tackled some of that to another degree on a prior episode, I think, in the 30s.
I think more than once.
Yeah, and we don't need to retread it now. But it's another case in point where, like, okay, nothing for the officers for firing, or the officer at least, for firing across the street without confirmation, without aggressive posture, without anything. Like, come on. That is jabroniism. Just because you're an officer doesn't mean you, I mean, if anything, it means you should be held to a higher standard, in my opinion. And that is, you know, whatever that looks like is where the debate comes in. But that wrinkle annoys me, at least.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the sentencing for this kid?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw on Reddit a day or two ago, I was surprised that they had actually sentenced him to something, that we were actually hearing about it now. I mean, I'm glad that they sentenced him and that people are being held accountable for it. I agree with Jake. I think there should have been some consequences or anything for the officer who actually took the shot, but, you know, at least something's happening, so...
And
I mean, maybe this will make them set a protocol for when the location doesn't match the description.
I think hopefully this just discourages people from doing this ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And that it provides a standard on how to prosecute and how to punish anybody that does do it.
There was something that I think I was reading. It was like the severity of the consequences are not really what effectively deters somebody from committing a crime. It's the probability that you'll be caught.
Right.
Now, I'm sure there's a minimum level of punishment to make it serious enough, but like because if it's unlikely that you'll get caught, but if you do get caught, the consequences are severe. It's like lung cancer. It's like so abstract that people are able to just kind of put it away. But if you know you're going to get caught, maybe you won't do that fucking thing. And hopefully this is leading to that. And what's bananas is the age of the people who are doing these things. I mean, young adults should definitely know better, but there's, you know, I think this is big amongst like early teens too. And they're done. You can be done after this. Like, you make a call like this, and I know it's serious. I also know that kids are pretty fucking dumb sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like you get that on your record, you're done. It's how are you going to get a job? How are you going to get employed? Hopefully people do stop doing this. I just can't believe it.
I mean, I think it just seems like a kid thing to have that, like, I guess, delayed stage of development, or just haven't reached that point yet where they don't understand that, like, what you do has consequences.
It doesn't seem real. It takes a lot of like abstraction ability to not only imagine possible consequences, but imagine the gravity of them on other people, right? So it's like, oh yeah, this could happen, but if you don't apply any level of empathy to it, it's simply a stated fact, right? It's like, oh yeah, the Black Plague killed 2/3 of the people in Europe or whatever, 30 million people, and that's just like a number that you say. But it's not until you reflect on what that meant in practical sense, how many, like if you were there, how many of your friends were going down and you didn't know why, and how scary it would be, that becomes more real. And I think that is a particularly difficult thing to do. And I don't know, this is another one of those things, I don't know if there's really a good way to combat it other than changing the culture. Like, how much can you regulate? How much can you educate? You just got to make it not cool to SWAT.
Yeah. And there have been a variety of attempts at such a campaign, you know, whether it's smoking or crime in general or whatever. Lots of regional stupid crap, the whole DARE program, like, you know, for better or for worse. I don't know, man. Resolution. I mean, the reason why I brought this up today was because we now have a verdict on something we did talk about before. It's gonna set precedent, at least in some places. I mean, some of the charges, and I know for a fact it wasn't 51 swatting calls that he was convicted of, because some of the charges, even though I haven't found a list of them or anything, were simply filing a false report, stuff like that, which is already a crime, whatever. And he got a pretty hefty sentence for a pretty serious manslaughter thing, for his actions. In 20 years, it's two fucking decades of your life. Statistically, a quarter of your life, roughly. Damn, dude.
20 years seems to be a long time for manslaughter, too.
Even if he doesn't serve at all, never mind that. On paper, 20 years. Fuck. That 5 years will jack your shit up. Going to prison for 9 months can jack your shit up. For something stupid. Tax evasion or whatever.
Do we know if this is the first reported case?
It's the first instance of a swatting call resulting in the death of someone,
there we go,
of anybody, period, especially someone not even involved, which
right.
makes it worse. Which, by the way, that family is now sitting with this bag in their lap.
Right.
And have been since it happened.
Well, I think that's kind of like what Bill touched on, where it's that person is gone. Yeah. They're not coming back, so they're going to deal with their own stuff, but it's just something that can't be punished for.
It's like the epitome of random. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. It's even more random than just an accident on the highway. It's being hit by lightning. It's just what you happened to call out this address in Kansas.
And this is one of those.
It's like the inverse lottery, if I've ever heard of it.
This is one of those spooky things that is really hard to deal with. I think if you're not totally comfortable with the idea of being mortal, which I am not. Hence,
no. I just deny it.
That's why you just become immortal.
And it's you can be as conscientious as you like. You can live as safe a life as you want and still just fucking get killed going to your front door. Or do you guys remember years ago there was an airplane that went down, I think in New York, and it crashed into a house? It was like a big jet, and everybody on the jet died. And it crashed into a house, and there was a person in the house, and they died. Oh. They died by getting crashed into by a jet plane in the modern era.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Yeah.
Just doing stuff at their house, normal being at home stuff.
There is no such thing as totally safe, and it's unsettling. Now, it's what can you reasonably do?
Nothing.
Right.
But
nothing at all.
The odds are still pretty small that stuff like that
right.
that particular situation really small that it's going to happen to you, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's going to happen to somebody.
Statistically, it had to happen to someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, just like hitting the Powerball.
Yeah.
Which I did not.
It's hard to say that I'm glad about any part of this story, but I think it is good. I think it is good that
some level of justice.
Yeah, some level of justice, and. I don't know, man. I don't know if this kid ever comes back from this. You know what I mean? Even if he comes out
no, he won't.
Well, wait, he's how old is he?
28.
Okay.
He'll get out when he's 48. If the world it continues on its current trend, basically in 20 years, anybody who has even been talked to by a police officer for potentially committing a crime will be unemployable. No, that is obviously a joke. But basically, 20 years ago, in the late 90s, if you had a criminal record, you could get a job. Nowadays, you're basically limited to manual labor and the service industry, like working in a restaurant. That is where you are allowed to work now.
Warehouse stuff, maybe.
Yeah. Manual labor. Unskilled labor, really. Maybe you'll be really lucky and you'll happen to be very good at a trade craft. But at 48, are you going to pick up a trade? So basically, you're limited to unskilled labor and the service industry for life.
Womp womp.
Well, that other guy's dead forever, so it's hard to feel bad for this dumb cunt.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't mean I feel bad.
No,
I'm saying those are
the
prospects. That's what you get to live with. So to think about that, right? And anybody considering committing a crime, that not only are you punished, fair or not right now for society, not only are you punished for the time that you are in punishment in prison, but you are then punished for the rest of your life. It will be a permanent mark on your record that you are most likely untrustworthy and have poor decision-making skills.
The thing that gets me about this, too, is it's like the government's really good at getting people that they're paying attention to who aren't sophisticated bad actors. Like if you're not like a professional criminal or another governmental agency, it's just they have to notice you first. And it's like, they're like, oh,
Phil, that's it and everything.
yeah. Oh,
Dude,
let's pay
this
attention
dude-
guy, and he gets 51 charges.
I read
Dude,
stories.
this dude, okay, he was making, in 2017, he made fake bomb threat calls to the FBI headquarters and the FCC.
How is he not already in jail?
Well, I think they just dug all this stuff up.
Oh.
Other false calls from 2015 through 7. Yeah, this dude was a fucking serial fake, emergency bullshitter.
Like,
So if you're going to get one dude who was swatting, sounds like a pretty big fish.
When you start calling in fake bomb threats, it amazes me that we don't have somebody who goes, yeah, okay, this guy's got a problem. That's not a thing normal people do. And they just kind of let him off the leash. I mean, you know what? I guess I don't know what you would do, but oh my God, talk about a fucking ticking time bomb.
Bill, I think you hit the nail on the head. And it's unfortunate that the world is this way, or at least things are this way currently in the world, where for the most part we have an extreme, whether or not it's fair, and it's not obviously, but like we have a society that the vast majority of which plays by the rules and adhere to a certain set of standards, right? But you have a decent portion, a non-trivial portion that does not, for and every aspect of it, whether it be in the medical world, in the finance world, in any industry that you want to talk about, and including like just in general in regular life, you have people that just don't play by the rules, who kind of do their own thing, break them however they feel like it, kind of without consequence, with impunity, right? Mm-hmm. And get away with it for a long time. Some of which just do it for a long time and never get caught. Think of the Wolf of Wall Street, right? It's really true. Jordan Belfort, the guy who was the main character of the Wolf of Wall Street, could have defrauded people for the better part of 15 years and just walked away in the early 2000s. And he would have been fine. He would have been able to keep every piece of money. Now, he was too greedy to do that. But like the SEC knew about him, the FBI knew about him, and it was going to be a massive headache to try him. And he was already pretty much ready to quit. And it was basically the deal was given to him, just go away now. Nothing ever happened, right? So and that happens all the time in all sorts of different industries and stuff like this. Like just stop, and you will have gotten away with everything.
Yeah, and like you had the Zodiac killer, he murdered all those people, and now he's Ted Cruz, and it's
really sickening.
No consequences.
No consequences. You can
There
run
was
for Senate.
another incident here that I was not aware of, and I think it's maybe I don't want to spend too much time on this topic. It's dark and dreary, but 2015, January 15th, in Sentinel, Oklahoma, the police dispatchers got a call from this dude claiming to be this guy Dallas Horton. Placed a bomb in a local preschool, and then it was the claim. And the police showed up to this Dallas, to this house, kicked the door in. The occupant shot at police because he didn't know it was law enforcement.
Right.
Hit one of the officers a bunch of times in the chest and arm, injuring the cop. The cop survived. Mm-hmm. And they later figured out that it was a spoof. It was a fake call. And this dude who lived in this house had legitimately no idea and was just thought it was people breaking in. And so he wound up getting off. But that was the first time someone was injured in one of these incidents. It doesn't appear to have been related to gaming at all. So swatting obviously was a thing of some type
Before
already. But yeah, and then there's only two here on the Wikipedia page. The other one's the one we have been discussing. Disgustingly discussing.
Yes.
With
how
discourse,
disgusting it is.
How disgusting it is. That someone actually fucking died. Yeah, I don't know. Any closing thoughts on this debacle?
hey man, if you go ahead and do this, I hope you fucking get caught. And I hope that you getting caught makes other people not do this. This is not a good thing. Not a good thing at all.
It's fact.
Yeah.
All right.
They should have done something with this other guy who was giving him the wrong address.
It says they've been charged.
So they've been
Yes,
charged. I don't know
okay.
what with. I don't know if they've been sentenced yet. They probably will be soon if the main guy was already.
But what I was thinking is 20 years for manslaughter, I think, is a pretty long time. Usually manslaughter, I always hear like 8 years or something, or 6 years, especially if it's in a vehicle, which it isn't. It's just another level of removal. Anyway, all right, we're going to move on to some better subjects. Our Amazon overlords, I contributed to their domination a little bit more, and I picked up some new devices I'm looking forward to quite excitedly. So I went on, and what happened was they had a sale on the Kindle Fire. So the Kindle Fire 7, their e-reader / tablet, runs on an Android operating system, just like Android cell phones. $35 for the 7-incher. And I said, well, 7 inches isn't quite enough. So I got their 10-incher for...
That's what she said.
Nice. I got their 10-incher for $100. I bought one for Genevieve for her birthday, and then I bought one for myself. Because, like we said, I'm an adult with a job, and if I want something, I'm probably just going to get it. But knock on wood. I don't know, whatever. After that, I started browsing around a little bit, because I've long had this desire to have a keyboard split in half so that on each arm of my chair, I can have half the keyboard, and I can pedal away on a little stationary bike. In the middle, I do that. Now, I could put like a table over top, but I found I've done that, and my knees always hit the table and whatever. And you say, Bill, why do you want to do this? I don't know. I want to be able to exercise while I type away. I like to play games, and I like to develop. Speaking of playing games, out there, readily available, are half keyboards. The left side, that's just about as big as your hand. Sometimes they move the keys around a little bit to make it easier to hit them without moving off of the movement keys, traditionally WASD. And here we go. The Aula Excalibur Master One Hand. It is on the top row, second from the right. That is, it's a $70 option. I was thinking about getting it, but it's got 10 billion buttons on it, and I don't think I could hit them without looking. So I got a simpler one for $24. But I'll just have a mouse on one side and a one-handed keyboard on the other, and I feel like that'll give me a lot more room to move my mouse. I think it'll make me feel better. Do I have any reason for that? No. And it's programmable, so I can do different hotkeys and different binds for gaming. So I'm going to give it a try. And then I bought myself an actual split keyboard. So I'm going to give a try to having one half on the left side and one half on the right side, and pedaling in the middle. Now, interestingly, the one-handed keyboard for gaming was like $25, highly reviewed. Now, I read the reviews, and it's mostly by like grandparents who bought it for their grandson, so I don't know if they're 100% in there. Oh, I saw a hustle I'd never seen before. This one had like 500 good reviews, and they were good English. They sounded reasonable, but they were all in the same 2 days, March 15th and March 22nd. Hundreds of them.
That's really weird.
Yeah, and somebody called it out, and I was like, I'm not getting duped. I almost got duped. But the two-handed split keyboard, they're like $120. I think the cheapest one I found was $90, and they go all the way up to several $100s because they become ergonomic. And, that's always a big bill. But I bought the one that I bought because you can run each half independently to your machine, and you don't have to connect the two halves. So I don't have to have a wire going from my right side around the back of my chair to the left side. I can just have them both go forward towards the computer.
For anyone wondering why computer towers come with like 35 USB ports anymore, this is why.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's a picture. We're looking at a split keyboard. There's this new style of mouse that turns your wrist so your thumb is on top. It's supposed to be ergonomic.
Yeah.
Oh, Jacoby over there has it. What do you think of that?
Oh, interesting.
I have carpal tunnel in both my wrists now because I'm
Old
total
man.
fucking bitch, and I stay in my house all the time. I go to work. I'm on a computer all day. I come home and I'm on a computer the rest of the day. That's my life, and I like it. Fuck you. But it did fuck up my wrists. So I have many keyboards now, including this one, which is a Microsoft thing. That's not a split keyboard, but it's kind of split and tilted up in the middle, so you don't have to turn your wrists as aggressively. And this mouse also, the one you just described, where it turns it sideways. This was like $12 or something on Amazon. They're all over the map, wireless, wired, 15 million buttons, 3 buttons, like whatever you want. It's fine. I mean, I use it for gaming also, and it takes a little getting used to. But once you do, I mean, I switch back and forth. Right? I mainly use these upturned ones now, but I'll go back. I have them plugged in. I just move them around and go back to a standard profile, however my wrist happens to be feeling that day. Do I recommend it? I mean, if you got someone who has one and you want to give it a try, I do. It's going to feel weird. But if you think there's some potential for you, and pick one up. Again, they're dirt cheap, $10, $15, $20.
And the thing is, you'll get used to just about any mousing solution out there. Like, I had a laptop with a track, with one of those control sticks, the like really stiff in the middle of the keyboard. I'm like, this is dumb. And then I found myself using it over the touchpad because it was more precise. And I've seen those mice that are stationary and then you just move the ball with your thumb.
Oh, yeah.
One of the developers I work with really swears by that.
I have one of those lying around somewhere. Not a fan, but you can get used to anything for whatever your purposes are.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how much customization is out there, and like even keyboards, you can get custom resistance in the springs.
Yeah,
and now it it works against fatigue or whatever. And now things can be so cheap, you can literally spend $20 to see if you can improve your life in a major way.
These things, these Ergodox EZ keyboards, I looked into at one point. It has like a very different like linear pattern for most of the keys. These like a group of thumb keys that it's all 100% programmable, and like separate independent little metal rods. It looks like 3 of them on each half. One on the outside, 2 on the inside. So they call it tenting, I think, like positioning your exact. Like you can have a very custom. I mean, this is like a $400 keyboard if you trick it out,
right? With
like backlighting and like pre-filled keys and like depending on the actual switches and how resistant they are, how loud they are. Oh, this one, and with like detailed descriptions for all of them too. I went down this rabbit hole like a year ago myself because I was kind of looking at. Instead, I wound up buying a variety of pretty affordable options instead, because I just couldn't stomach sinking $200 to $400.
Yeah, if I like this path I'm going down, I will later on invest in this kind of dream boat
for the moment
setup.
For the moment, I had I keep coming back to this brand because I looked through their site very thoroughly, and I probably will one day, but for now,
So while I was falling down that rabbit hole, I also found they have gaming mice now. They've always had this. They have gaming mice now that, so my mouse is 15-year-old Logitech. I love it. I swear by it. Still buy Logitech stuff because I love that fucking mouse so much. It's got a forward and a back button for page navigation.
Got one of those too.
But in game, you can bind it to different things. So I have a hard time. I play Blackwake, and Chris, you can attest to this. There's not like a weapon quick switch. Like in Counter-Strike, you push Q and it cycles to your last weapon. In this game, you have to actually hit the number slot for the weapon.
You can use the roll wheel on the mouse, but that's
really?
I always end up catching it flying past the one that I want.
So I have bound switch to my second weapon and switch to my melee weapon. So like my pistol and my melee weapon to the forward and back buttons on my mouse, and it's really, really nice. Well, now they have gaming mice with full like 1 through 9 or 0 through 9 number pads on the side.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're weird looking.
I've got big fat like bare hands, so I don't know how this is going to work out. I might end up doing something like binding 4 numbers to one action so that I could just sort of hit in that area. I don't have to be as precise, but I was like, you know what? For $25, let me give this a try. Let me see if it's time for me to step into the future. Really, what I need is
what on earth
a jumbo-sized mouse because my hand is too big for pretty much everything.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
And what happens is I'll end up laying my thumb along the edge of the mouse, and then I roll over the skin on my thumb with the mouse, and it doesn't particularly hurt or anything, but I can't do smooth sweeping motions. So when I'm playing Counter-Strike, I get fucking murked because I like hit my own thumb, and then it.
I don't have that problem. My hands just get so tense because I'm having to curl big Mondu hands around a little itty bitty mouse, and like even most of these are like billed as like large or jumbo, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not like. Even this Gucci custom gaming chair I talked about a few episodes ago, it's not quite there. It's there in a lot of the right ways, but like the armrests need to have a little more vertical adjustment upward.
Yep.
Because of the way I specifically am shaped. So now I'm thinking about, well, what kind of solution can I have to like pad these up a little bit?
Yeah.
So that I can actually have like a proper upright, well-aligned posture, because they're just a little too low and my shoulders are slumping. And that is hurting my upper back still, even though everything else is like pretty good ergonomically. Like it's just because we're humans and we're biological, but all these are turned out in cheap Chinese factories. And it's like, fuck.
Now, I may be overweight. I am. But even if I wasn't, these things would still tax my body because it's just not right. So I'm just a big dude.
Yeah.
And the solution that I've gotten to is that I'm going to build myself a custom chair. I have an old office chair from like the 60s or the 80s or something, and it's made well. It's got firm padding in it that supports my body mass and wood arms. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to build off of this. I'm going to use wood and build what I want, the layout that I want, see how that goes. And then I'll look into the market. But I think with the split keyboards, the most probably monetarily cognizant way to do it would be to get a keyboard kit. I don't know how the fuck you work that stuff. I was going to try it, so I just bought a cheaper one. We'll see. But there's not a big enough market. There's not a big and tall for gamers yet, I don't think.
They're getting there.
Now,
getting there.
Falling down that rabbit hole, I found something else. I had been recommended like a K400 remote keyboard with a Logitech K3 or 400, and I think it has a trackpad on it, so that you can do. You can move the mouse and have the keyboard and have it wireless, and it's nice and small. Yeah, you brought it up.
I have one of these. I have actually this one. I have the K400. It's like over there.
Yeah, and I had that highly recommended. I liked it. Well, if you look over to the right, there's the US Mini i8 wireless. I got like the $20 version of this.
I have one of these too lying around.
It is basically an old cell phone keyboard back when they had the tactile buttons with a little trackpad on top. A touchpad on top. And I'm super stoked for this because what happens is I'll be gaming and watching like The Office or whatever, or Longmire, Lilyhammer, and then I want to stop playing the game and fall asleep while I'm watching. And right before I fall asleep, I turn off the computer. But it's not comfortable to have a whole big fucking keyboard. So I got this little mini one. I'm going to give it a try. $25. I'm giving it a try. And all this stuff is coming in, and I got to tell you, I am beyond stoked.
Is it Bluetooth?
It's either Bluetooth or wireless.
I wonder if it'll hook up to an Xbox.
You know what? I was reading it. It does.
Okay. I know Lisa just loves the amount of wireless control technology that I have in my bedroom, and I was really looking to add to it. So I might have to invest in one of those.
Yeah, this is one of those things. It's like every idea I've ever had has already been thought, and now it's made in an affordable version. And then there's other things that you never thought of. So I'm going to give it all a try, and I'll report back. But
yeah, how do you feel about like the proliferation of these various USB peripheries?
I'm a big fan of it.
Like I've seen, I don't know if you guys have probably seen this too, the USB coffee warmers.
Mm-hmm.
They've got those. Like half of the vapes on the market seem to charge via USB.
Yeah.
It's like everybody is just using the USB for everything.
Well, it's supposed to be a universal serial bus, right? And
yeah.
It's a protocol that was supposed to standardize across the industry, and it has worked. It has worked really well, and it's been nice. So many things can flow through that, and it's really an interesting piece of hardware technology because you can charge things through, you can provide power, you can do data transfers, all sorts of things. It allows a modularity to your computer experience that it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the next big thing was people wanted to charge their laptops through USB, and that didn't really work back on the day. And laptop manufacturers want to have their own goddamn proprietary horse shit, so they can charge you $90 when you fall asleep on your laptop charger and it overheats. But now with USB-C, I think it is your USB-C cord, or or it might be USB 3.0. One of them, you can put enough power through to start charging laptops. So I'm hoping we'll see everything move in that direction. But I love it. I think it's so cool, and the fact that you can take something. Oh, here it is, the Logitech K400. See, it's a little smaller than a normal keyboard, so I wouldn't want to use it for a lot of word processing, but it's light enough that it doesn't bother me. I can get done the little bit of interaction I need to do. I'm not gonna game on this thing. I'm just gonna say, show me the
Carfax.
meaning of feeling lonely, or show me the Carfax. Yeah,
Both at the same time.
Oh, this is so good. This trackpad is nice and responsive. It's got volume control, exactly what I need. All my F keys over here.
If you want to use it for like auxiliary functions, like while you're watching a movie, or what, you just want to control your computer like as an entertainment system while you're chilling on a couch or whatever, any of these wireless little keyboard with a trackpad on it is gonna, it weighs nothing. It's got a big on-off switch on the top, all the basic functions you need. Yeah, don't use it all day at the office. But that is the very one you have been recommended. I happened to also pick it up, who knows how long ago, and I love it. It's great.
My goal is when I finally get, I'm not even going to use the word man cave, but just in general, like my technology entertainment room setup, right? So most likely in a basement, is to have like one of the sectional couches with like the two, so that the two facing whatever entertainment screen I have, which will be a very, very large TV or projector, right? Have like one of those center consoles, so that like when I open it, it automatically like there's a spring-loaded tray that comes out of it that has all of the remotes and a keyboard like that on there. So like if I need something, it's just like open it up and it just like plops itself in front of me. I think that would be so cool. It's just like so organized.
Add a cigar and coasters.
Yeah, and
done.
like so all that kind of shit.
And an auto blow with
and a pocket badge.
Yeah, and
Could you imagine like it was
No,
like
I don't
just
want
an
to.
arm coming out, and then you have like a little lever and on the side. It's just like, oh, that's a level.
The only couch that'll suck your dick.
Yeah. Now that is, there's a smart couch, I think they call it.
Does it suck your dick?
No, it does not suck your dick, but it
Is
has
it
like
really
a built-in.
smart then?
It has a built-in cooler and like all of these extra functionalities. But it is actually really cool. I think it was in prototyping stages, and they were basically doing like, if you buy it now before it's built, it's like $500, but we plan on charging $1,000 or $1,200 or something like that when it actually comes out.
Yeah.
But it was, it was basically, the gist of it was a two-seater couch, I think, maybe a three-seater with like an optional, how like cars nowadays have the cup holder that flips down in the back, something similar to that, but it had a fridge inside of it, and it had like charging ports for your phones and all that kind of stuff built into it. It was pretty cool. For $500, I thought it looked really great. For $1,000 or $1,200, I thought you could probably get something pretty similar that already exists, and it wouldn't be as needlessly complicated as that.
yeah, I like what Amazon has done, and for good or for bad, it has given us access to peer-reviewed Chinese products that are affordable. And I was explaining this when I was talking to Matt, friend of the podcast, about getting tools off of Amazon several episodes ago. I'm buying these things at a nominal price, $15 to $25. I don't expect them to last forever. I'm buying them with the express intent of testing them out so that I can later buy a higher quality product. And I find it to be very liberating, right? Because I have bought things and I was like, this would be dope. I could buy the really nice one. And then I pick it up and it sucks. It's awful. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like I thought it would. The software doesn't interact with hardware properly. And I go, you know what? Not investing any more money. So, I'm really feeling it. I can't wait to report back. Lisa, what would you like to see? What kind of periphery would you be looking for in your she shed?
Ugh.
Right? You like that?
No, I actually do like the phrase she shed. Thank you, Bill. I don't know. I mean, my TV's a smart TV, so I just have my little Roku remote thingy for it, and it plays my Netflix. It plays,
How do you like
HBO.
searching for shows on those services?
Okay, I haven't stopped talking yet. All right. That is the irritating part. Is that you gotta like click, click over. It's hard to do that.
You don't like clicking?
No, I don't know. I don't think mine has a voice remote. Although I don't like things that I can talk to. I don't like talking to my technology.
How are we even friends?
Yo, I bet if that little mini keyboard thing I'm getting is Bluetooth, I can hook it up to my fucking Android, and I could go back to the heyday when I'm like typing away on my slide keyboard.
I can't find. I just, if you heard some weird rustling on the mic, it's because I was clambering all over my room past all the mics to try to find my little one of those guys. I did stop using it. It might just be the specific model, but it was a similar layout. The buttons are just too damn small, man.
Yeah.
I mean, try it. It's handy again, like a pinch, but I usually go to the K400 instead. It's a little more cumbersome, but like it's still going to be two hands either way. But see what you think. I might have just gotten a dud.
Yeah. I will check it
Yeah,
out.
I mean, honestly, I like having my simple TV. It has all the streaming apps that I need on it. Very simple remote, not a lot of whole buttons on it because I don't even have cable anyway, so I don't even need all the other crap. Does my stuff. It has the sleep timer function, which is superb.
Ooh.
Some people don't seem to care for it. I care for it a lot. All I really want is clap on, clap off lights, and I'd be very happy.
What's a sleep timer?
You can set it so like after 30 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever, the TV just turns itself off.
Of
I
inactivity?
can hear Lisa fuming at that.
Well, as soon
Lisa-
as you set it.
Lisa
yeah, and you
does
don't-
not like that when the TV is left on overnight.
Because I wake up to it in the middle of the night and then I have to turn it off.
Yeah, I'm on the same.
So I sleep timer it. I'll put it longer than I think I'm going to be awake for, but then I just fall asleep to it and it turns off and it's off when I wake up. It doesn't wake me up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I turn it off, but the TVs just stop getting signal, so they're still making a little bit of light. So I close my little eyeballs and I cool down, and then 10 minutes later, the TVs turn themselves off and it gets extra dark, and then I right out. Sleepy bitch.
I leave it on all night. I need it playing visually and audio all night.
Screaming. Just people having family arguments.
No, it's just that like awful blurred sound of just like the salt and pepper, nothing playing.
No, I like a YouTube playlist of like a funny show or something like Wilburger or Chess Breach or Red Letter Media or whatever. Or Dragon Ball Z Abridged is a common one I put on because I've seen it so many times I get bored and fall asleep. It used to be Netflix shows, but of course they paused to save bandwidth after a while. YouTube does that occasionally too. But no, I need it on.
So you're the opposite where you need there to be noise.
If I wake up, and I often do, mid the entire time that I'm going to be sleeping,
Every day I wake up.
I mean, fuck you. In the like, okay, I'm gonna be in bed here for 9 hours or whatever, hopefully, and then sleep cycle, and then you wake up in the middle. I can't get back to sleep. I have to make sure, and it'll stop itself, and it doesn't need to be on while I'm asleep because I'm fucking asleep and I can't tell. But when I wake up, I need to shake the mouse. I need to do whatever I need to do to get it playing again because that's just how I've been conditioned at this point.
Yo, I think I'm officially an old man because I was away on vacation and I was sleeping a lot, and I would wake up and I had a thing. I couldn't go back to sleep. So what did I do? I read a book.
Whoa.
And I read it for like an hour and a half, and then I got sleepy, and then I fell right back asleep in the middle of my book.
I think
Go to sleep 6 more hours, felt like $1 million. That's it. I'm old. It's over.
Yep.
Chris, what's going on in that head of yours?
It's so fucking hot in this room.
All right, we're gonna kick into another quick break. We'll come back with Steam Sale. sale.
Steam sale. Steam sale. Steam sale.
Steam sale. Steam sale.
Steam sale.
All right, here we go. Raft again came up, not on sale. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong
Is no one
thing.
playing that because they
No.
keep putting it on sale?
All right.
Please buy me.
Darksiders franchise.
What is
Yes.
Darksiders?
Has anybody played Darksiders?
Yes.
I keep hearing good things about it.
Yes, play it. Fucking play it. I'm playing 2 right
Explain.
now. Just fucking play it.
I've played a
It's so
bit
good.
of the. I started the first one like.
What
in
are
January,
this?
But I stopped.
Look, is it like a fantasy something?
Well, the second one, you play as Death, and you're trying to bring humanity back from death.
Oh, are you the
Like the
Six
Four Horsemen?
Yeah, yeah.
In the first one, you're War, I think.
Or war, or yeah, I think it's war because in the second one, the whole purpose of your story is to avenge war or to prove that war is innocent for the death of humanity.
Oh, and it says for the third one that you play as Fury. So maybe there's going to be 4, and then you play as.
Okay, so
yeah, probably.
so it looks like
It's a character action game.
Yeah.
It's a beat 'em up. Demons show
Yeah.
up. You have powers. You unlock
Lots of
moves.
slashing. You
Lots
get,
of overlap with Devil May Cry and those sorts of
yes,
things.
that was exactly what I was thinking.
female
What I was-
protagonist.
R.I.P. everyone.
some of your shit.
What I was literally thinking, Jake,
Four horse
was
van.
that. What I was literally thinking, Jacob, was that this game is a much more simplified version of Devil May Cry. You get lots and lots of really fast slashing with much more simplified controls than Devil May Cry. You don't have to memorize as much move sets and all that. So you get, like, if you really suck at Devil May Cry, but you really want fast combos, slashing game, Darksiders is it for you.
Yeah, and I think the voice acting in this game is really good. From what I've seen of some of the playthrough or the actors,
It doesn't suck.
Having only played about half of the very first Darksiders, it's one of the things it shares with Devil May Cry is a pretty campy, over the top script.
The script, I think the voice acting is good, but the script does kind of get campy. Yes,
It's a bit crap in a good, endearing way. To me.
So I think the thing to do here, I think the second one is on sale for $6.99 or $6.50. The
Worth
third
it.
one's on sale.
The
for
franchise
$30.
is on sale. It looks like you can pick up.
There's got to be a bundle deal.
This looks like a bundle for $30. Let's see. There's one, the remaster, 2
Death.
Yeah.
2 soundtrack, and 3 for a total on sale of $29.59.
Get the first 2 for a total of $10. Play those until Darksiders 3 isn't so
Oh my
new,
God.
and it goes on sale for $20, and you've made out like a bandit.
correct.
There's Darksiders War Mastered Edition.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Dead
And then the
Cells
next one is
is on
Definitive.
sale here. We've talked about
I'm
this a
so
little
proud.
They're not listening.
bit. Oh, sorry.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells is on sale. It's pixel graphics, Metroidvania, so it's like your Metroid games and Castlevania, action roguelike, so it's nice and difficult. We talked about this a number of times.
Yeah.
Great art style.
It looks really good.
It's supposed to be a really, really solid game. Very positive in all reviews and recent reviews. 23,000 reviews. I don't know if I'm going to drop $18, $18.75 on it, even though it's probably worth it. I think it goes on a more significant sale every once in a while, but it's only 25% off. But it's supposed to be really, really.
It's been on my wish list for a while. I've been waiting for it to go a little cheaper because I have been looking for a Metroidvania style game to play, and this is kind of at the top of that list.
Yeah, wait a minute. This is Dead Cells: Rise of the Giant? Is this like a second iteration? Maybe the first one's on sale.
There's a bundle.
That's just the soundtrack.
Oh.
Metroidvania. Hey. Buy not a Metroidvania bundle. So it looks like 4 games in that vein.
Sundered, yeah, Sundered's there. That should be good. Salt's supposed to be good. There's also Absolver. I think that looks pretty tight. Yeah, check these guys out.
Yeah, this
Check out
looks
their other
good.
titles. I don't think this is going to be a bad deal for you. All right,
Bayonetta for $5.
that is a
it's
winner.
in my cart.
Get that.
I already bought it for $5 because it was on sale for this cheap like a month ago.
I think I'm going to have to get it, and then I'm going to wait until those Steam boxes go on sale.
Yet another character action Devil May Cry. This actually was directly kind of a direct competitor to Devil May Cry in its day. A smaller franchise, but by all accounts quite good. And a little weird.
Are we seeing a theme here?
We are seeing a theme here. But yeah, I mean, for $5, you can't go wrong. Very, very popular game. and remastered 60 FPS HD shit, yada yada. Dude, $5, just do it. Just fucking do it. If you don't, you're fucking up.
I'm not going to.
Do it.
That's one less latte
Do
this
it or
week. Spy the
die.
game.
Oh, hang on, Steam.
Yeah, I don't
Steam
drink
has to
lattes.
load.
Neither do I. Actually, when I do drink lattes, they are free because we have them at work for free.
Medieval Kingdom Wars 3. What the fuck is this? All right, 1,400 reviews, mostly positive. Medieval strategy, real-time simulator, indie. All right, this Frank. If Frank's not going to buy it, I'm not going to buy it. You need to do the research on this one.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I'm
You have
not
homework.
familiar with it. Who's the publisher?
Reverie World Studios.
I
It's
am
an indie
unfamiliar
game.
with them.
It
yeah.
might be pretty cool, but it's only 30% off for $20.99. I'm not ready to roll the dice for that little bit of money.
Yeah, it looks interesting though.
much money.
I'm interested.
Yeah, we'll
Very
see.
neat art style.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that.
Oh shit, they got armies a marching in the woods. This looks good. Oh, I might end up spending $20 on this. This looks like Rome Total War, but even betterer.
I want
and
to see
newer.
like shit happen.
We're trying to look for some gameplay here. Right now, it's like a top-down view, isometric view of the cityscape. Really well detailed. Lots of management information. Definitely in the medieval theme.
Yeah, it looks like a cross between an RTS and a Civ type thing, where you're kind of controlling both sides of like, building up your civilization, I'll say, or building up your place, your people, your economy, and also individually controlling units and kind of focusing on like ground level tactics as well.
I worry if we're not seeing any combat, if combat's dog shit.
It may be worth some investigation. I think for our purposes, we'll move
Okay.
on.
Next page.
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come. This is supposed to be a lot of fun. It's another one that has a different take on close quarters combat, CQC from here on out, and medieval theme, hand to hand.
It's a first-person sword slasher.
Yeah. I have heard, much like the what's that Assassin's Creed game? Yep. Once you get the parry or the equivalent in this game, you're pretty much unstoppable.
I mean, from what I've seen, the game is also extremely hard up till that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a first-person RPG in a medieval setting. It's based very much on real events set in Poland. I think there are lots of real name dropping.
Really? I did not know this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's liberties, but there's like magic and shit. I'm pretty sure. I've also heard some clunkiness with the controls. I don't know if it's just a learning curve thing or what, but the melee system is a different one over something like, say, Skyrim, etc. But $30, I've seen it at this price multiple times. I think we have. It's been in our Steam section, I don't know, half dozen times at this point, at the same price point. I'm not biting yet. Not biting.
No Man's Sky for $30.
Maybe 75% off.
75% off. Yeah, if it was $15, I'd
Same
get
thing with
it.
No Man's Sky. How are they getting away with charging
Exactly. That was my thoughts. Exactly.
full price for a game that was fucking broken when it came out?
Correct. From what I understand, though, it's a completely different game, and it's worth playing. But everybody says it's not worth playing at the price they've been offering it at.
Okay.
But you should still play it. when it's
Borderlands
cheaper.
2 Game of the Year at $8.79. I guess if you've never done it before,
It's
sure.
yeah, it's pretty old at this point though.
Yeah.
Chances are you've played it. It's a very
I
good
haven't
game.
played it, but it's definitely a game that benefits from playing it with friends, and good luck getting that together.
ESO, $10. About time we finally jump in. We've said it 10 billion times.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I've played it. I have it. It's free to play on Xbox Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
They did that obviously to get more people to play it. You gotta like MMOs.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like MMOs, you're not gonna like the game.
If you don't like M&Ms, you're not going to like the game.
Look, I'm going to flip the script.
You don't
What
like
about
mom
Eminem the
spaghetti.
rapper?
I'm a Skittles person, so am I gonna like the game?
You're
I
dead.
like mom spaghetti.
I'm going to flip the script here and say pay full price for Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. The
latest iteration from Software, the publisher of Dark Souls
yeah.
et al. We talked about it briefly. The only reason I haven't picked it up is because Devil May Cry 5, Far Cry 5, and New Dawn, and I'm still playing Neo, which is part of the reason Sekiro now exists.
So waiting for it
So
to
go
be
ahead and pick it
cheaper.
up and then tell me how awesome it is. That way I don't have to pay for it.
My friends who are playing Sekiro fucking love it. And full price is definitely justified by every secondhand account I've heard.
All right, let's kick it to the selections. Frank, why don't you start us off?
I'm gonna say pick up the latest expansion to Kerbal Space Program.
That's
Arts and
okay.
History pack.
Perfect.
$10. It's a great deal. You get a lot of cool stuff.
Okay.
Nothing here really interests me all that much.
Yeah.
It's a weak Steam sale.
This is not a very strong showing. Do some research on Medieval Kingdom Wars. That's probably what I would roll the dice with right now. But if I had to buy something and be sure that I would like it, it'd be Bayonetta and then the first two Darksiders games. Liesler, you wanna?
Yeah, I think there's not a lot on the Steam sale. But I think Darksiders out of all of them looks the coolest. So I would probably have to vote for that one.
Chris?
I am picking up Bayonetta today, but
Yeah,
if you
boy.
don't have any of the Darksiders games, I would say play those.
I would pick up Bayonetta for sure if it included a body pillow waifu of her.
Spoilers, her clothing is made of her own hair.
Excuse me?
What?
Because
I'm
magic.
sorry.
I love the hairy ladies. G, what game are you gonna pick up?
I'm probably gonna go with what everyone else is doing anyways, but Darksiders and then Darksiders. You know, I did it. I thought about correcting it and I just went with it. So, and then Bayonetta probably.
Hell yeah, Jake, wrap us up.
Bayonetta, $5. You're an idiot.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another iteration. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out on Tuesday. We're looking to stream again. And always forget to never but what? Huh? Brain. Cock 'em, lock 'em, rock 'em, baby.
Windows 95 has crashed.